to the other end of it. I call it a maze because that's what it feels like when you actually go through it. My experience with graduate programs is both within Australia and internationally. So I've had the opportunity to actually assess at graduate programs and get involved in the interviewing side of it as well. Over in the UK, I worked for a really large organisation and we set up and established new graduate programs with the assessment processes all the way through to the buddying and mentoring stages, etc., which I'll talk through to you. So I have seen people go through this process and I was going to try and make this fun, but really graduate programs, applying for them is not fun. The fun comes after it when you actually get it and you get the offers for graduate roles. It's a really opportune time actually to be doing this because the programs, a lot of them will be closing very shortly, so it's great that you've seen the benefit. If I could just put it out to you, why have you come today? What do you want to get from today, from me? I know you're all eating, so it's probably not the best time to ask that question. Yes? Yeah.
I'm from India. I know the procedure of recruitment there, but maybe the recruitment procedure here is completely different. Or maybe there are some different processes here over here. Maybe for application, maybe for screening, maybe for selection.
Selection criteria? Yep, great. So I've got some information on that today. Yeah.
What's the difference between these two?
Okay, I'll try my best, having not been to India. But in terms of, I can definitely tell you what the expectations are from Australia. So, and then you can maybe look at that and go, oh, okay, that's slightly different. Maybe we can have a discussion after the session over that. Okay, anybody else? The free lunch? Or was it to see me? Yeah. Pardon?
Interview skills.
Interview skills. Okay, I can talk to you around those, yeah, but we actually have a workshop on that. And we actually offer mock interviews. So if I was you, I'd take that up. So people like myself and other people that have loads of experience on interview panels, all different types of interviewing techniques, will sit down and interview you and give you feedback. So that would make you feel good. Okay, but I will touch on it today.
This we mentioned before, but I think we should really focus on as being an international student. I need to know more about the implementation of Australian bosses.
Okay, yep.
From international students.
All right, there is a subject you can do on that. I think it's GWS. I'll have to check on that. I'll check on the subject. But there is a subject for international students covering exactly that. What are the expectations of Australian corporate life? Okay, so I'll give you some more information after the session on that. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes?
Just wondering if we have any information more about the visa.
Visa. I don't have it with me today, but the international career consultants can help you because the visa requirements have changed now, haven't they? Yeah, so I think you have the ability to work for 2 years, don't you, after postgrad? But I'm not going to go into that today because that's something that's just changed. And I know our international career consultants will be able to help you with that one. Okay. Anything else? Yes?
I recently on Spain and I'm graduating in September and I would like to work overseas when that I finish.
Okay, all right. Well, that's something our consultants can help you with too, okay? But today I'm going to focus on, sorry, I've lost my thing. Today my focus is on the graduate recruitment process, okay? So which will help you as well. All right. I'll find where my little thing's gone. Okay. Sorry, Sean, I'm just looking for the clicker. It's in my hand. How's that? Told you I'd have fun today. Wow, that's interesting today, isn't it? Obviously I need lunch. Okay, so applying for graduate programs. Like I said, it's a fantastic time to be applying because the season is about to close. Okay, so a lot of them have been up since the beginning of February and a lot of them will close at the end of March, early April. So a lot of you, if you're going to be applying for graduate programs, will actually have a busy Easter, sitting down, doing all the applications and everything that we're actually going through today. It's highly competitive. They usually want you to have a WAM of about 60 plus. It's offered by government departments and large corporations. Very few small to medium enterprises offer graduate programs because they're actually quite an expensive process to implement, and you'll see why in a moment. Okay. Now, this is the actual process. It's not very clear, but you've got notes there. So the very first part is the step down the bottom, and it's stepped because they are gradual steps that you actually have to go through. The first step being, I've put that very clearly, the first one is an informative decision. Okay, so making an informative decision on the types of companies that you actually want to apply for. Now, I spoke to some graduate recruitment managers in some banks this week, and I've spoken to other graduate recruitment managers in other organisations, and the most important thing that's coming from them is they want students to have made an informed decision on the company that they're actually going to go for. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. And I thought that was really interesting. I've spoken to a lot of students this week, and what I'm finding is a common thing is people are saying, I'm just going to shoot out 100 applications to everyone. I'm bound to get one interview. That's not really the appropriate way to go about it. It's about deciding where your career is actually going to lie, what you want to do, where's that going to take you, for the organisations that you actually want to apply for, and getting the right job fit. Okay, so that's the very first part of the process before you even put pen to paper. The second thing is the actual online application. So once you've discovered that's the one that you want to go for, it's about then putting in an online application. Sometimes, most of them do that now. Cover letters, putting together your resume that's tailored towards that particular organisation, and then answering some selection criteria, which each company does differently. Well, most of the government companies will say you've got X amount of words to fill in for these particular selection criteria. Other companies might say just fill in the boxes of why you feel that you might be the right candidate for the role. So it's an interesting exercise to look at those and see what they're doing. So tailored resume, selection criteria, and your transcript is what you're probably going to need at that stage. The next step in the process is submit, okay? Check it over and over again, get people to check it, get me to check it, or whoever your faculty career consultant is, and then submit it, off it goes. You'll then find,
Sorry, what's your name?
Taryn. Yeah, Taryn McDonald. Okay, then you'll find the process goes on then. They like you, so then they're going to get you to probably undertake a psychometric assessment. And I've got some handouts on that today for you with free sites that you can actually practice. Because funnily enough, one of the recruitment managers this week told me quite clearly that is where people are falling down in the process. In fact, she said she's had high distinction candidates apply. Everything's looking really good. They get to the psychometric test, and she gave me an example of someone that got 10% in the psychometric test, which rules them out, unfortunately. So, because they have benchmarks for different roles, and the benchmark might be that you have to achieve 85% in the psychometric test to be considered, or 65%. So it's really important you get your head around those and you practice them, but I'll talk more about that. Then, of course, you've got the assessment centre that most organisations will put you through, which is made up of a number of different components. Usually it's made up of a panel interview. Okay, it's also made up of, sometimes you'll have a group activity to do and you'll have people staring at you around the room, which makes you feel a little bit uneasy. You've just got to turn off from those people around the room and do your best. So the group activity, depending on your area of expertise, so if you're in marketing and sales, the group activity would be something sales and marketing based with a presentation, because a lot of sales and marketing roles require you to present to boards and companies. So it would involve that. If you were going for an engineering role, it might be something technical that you're actually all working on together as a group. So it depends on your area of expertise as to what that group activity will look like. And then on top of that, you have the psychometric tests included in that. That's just one idea. Sometimes you can have role plays. So sometimes they'll actually have real life people in there. I did a project with Railcorp, and they actually have people, they have actors come in and in the assessment centres, and the actors then have to act out maybe an abusive client, because Railcorp, railway lines, we all get a bit frustrated with trains not turning up, and they tend to get abused a lot. So they had to act that out, and they had people watching them and assessing them on certain competencies. So they're assessment centres. And then you've got the interviews stage, reference checking stage. Then finally, they make an offer after all of that process, and you either accept and then you commence. So I've taken a slide from Coca-Cola Amatil, who is one of the top fast-moving consumer goods groups. And this particular slide shows, it's on their website, and it shows the process that they actually go through. So as you can see, if I can do that. Okay, as you can see, 1st of March, applications open. All right, so that's when they've already prepped to know exactly how many graduates they want to take on board. And they open the process and they start advertising. Then you've got the 8th of March to the 29th of March. That's when applications start to come through for Coca-Cola Amatil, and they start to review them, because as you can imagine, it's a very prestigious, fast-moving consumer goods company that is going to get a lot of applicants come through. So they need to start reviewing them. The actual program closes on the 29th of March. So they've given themselves 2.5, 3 weeks to work on the review, and then they start their assessment centres shortly after that. So their assessment centres are then on the 10th to the 24th of April, and they usually probably get about 50 or 60 people on an assessment centre at a time, and have them work in groups, all split up groups. Okay, after that, they then do the background checks, and some companies will do police checks, some companies will do, they're definitely going to do your reference checks. Okay, so make sure you've got good referees working alongside you with this. And then after that, offers come out finally. But you can see the process doesn't stop there with large corporations. Yeah.
References, they're referees, aren't they?
Yeah, referees, yeah.
What's it like if they were to be run up? Are they run up?
Yes, absolutely. Some companies get them to fill out forms. Yes, what I would do, they probably won't accept a written one. I try and get in touch with that referee and say, look, you know, I'm applying for jobs in Australia. I need you to be on standby for a reference check. Because my referees were in Hong Kong. One was in Hong Kong, and the other one was in, there was one that was in France, and there was one that was in London. So I put them down, and they got contacted. They got contacted firstly by email, and secondly by telephone. So they work out the time frame. Okay, so it's really, really important that, and also what I'm saying about your referees being your best friend, I meant referees need to know exactly what you're applying for, exactly what you're doing. Right, so when I applied for this role, I sent my whole application off to my referees and said, this is the application that I've done. A, can you give me any advice? B, I want you in the loop with exactly what I'm doing, so that when they ring you, you know that's the application I put in. Yep. Okay.
Just a question here.
Yeah.
Australia, so companies prefer background check or reference check, or they are using both?
They use both. Some companies will use both. And it depends. If you go and work for a company that deals with children, they also do a child protection check. So there's a number of different checks that they will do, but they have to ask your permission for that. So they'll say, would you mind if we do this, and can you sign this, say that that's okay? Yeah? Okay, and back to the Coca-Cola Amatil, you can see the process doesn't stop with the offer and acceptance going on. You can see that they continue, and they have an induction and a networking evening, even before you start. So 3 months after that, here you are, you go to the site, and you start to network with part of the team, and you basically have an induction. Then after that, in November, you have a pre-program preparation, and then after that, you start. So it's a full year. It's a full year. Before you even start, it's a lot of stuff going on. Okay. These are some programs that are closing, and I've put the brands up there because they're quite iconic. All right, so you can see that there's a lot, and some programs have already closed already. But in your grads, the books I've given you today, grad opportunities, you'll see the closing dates in there, and if not, you go onto their site and you'll see a lot of companies and what they do and where they actually close. Okay. So the actual graduate programs, does everyone know what they are? Okay, so they can be rotational. Most of the time they are. If you're getting on a good grad program, it means that they will rotate you around the business. So you might start in marketing, and then they might say, right now you've done marketing, we're going to put you into corporate services or HR, and now we're going to put you into a different part of marketing. So you're actually rotated around to learn the business. And they're usually from 1 to 3 years, and you'll know by when you actually look at the application. They offer structured on-the-job development, which is great. So they offer you the chance to have structured, like the grad programs I've been involved in, they've had buddies and mentors, and they've had a structure about this is what you need to achieve in this particular role. So you're not just thrown in to do the filing or to, make tea or do whatever. It's important. Usually commence on the completion of your degree, but some of them will say you can do it 2 years after you complete your degree. But generally speaking, it's they usually like to take you straight out from your degree. And it's a pathway to help kick your successful career. So if you know what industry and sector you want to stay in, and I know we all change, so you might stay in one sector for 4 years and you might go, well, this isn't for me. But some sectors are really quite particular about you having their experience in that field. And I guess, like I said to you, the informed decision is really important, and what you want to do, in the future will help you decide which grad program is actually going to be suitable for you. So for example, if you were looking at a career in the financial sector, okay, you probably wouldn't go for a grad program in the fast-moving consumer goods arena, like Kellogg's or Arnott's or Coca-Cola Amatil, because that's giving you fast-moving consumer good experience and not the financial sector experience. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah? Okay. What do employers want? Basically, they want you to have an informed decision, like I said. And I'm stressing this because this is what I've actually been told this week. Cultural alignment. Think of what your values are and how they fit into that particular organisation. If you value your time and you value a healthy lifestyle, you're probably not going to go and apply for a grad program at a company that you know through colleagues that they work 70 hours a week. Okay, and I think we know which companies I'm talking about without saying anything. So I can't stress enough how you need to research the company. All right, so really research the company and know what they're about. Now, what I've been told and what I've seen work really well in interviews is when people have researched a company, but they haven't just researched it as this is what they do, this is where they are now. What you need to be looking at is what is their future growth? I mean, what is around the corner for that company? What are they actually going to be getting into? So, for example, if a company looks like it's going to buy out another organisation that's similar, you need to know that, so that when you're in the interview, you can actually answer ask some intelligent questions about what their future growth is. Okay, so that's an important one. And also, the thing that's coming through all the studies, especially from the graduate outcomes from 2012, is that companies want the whole you. Okay, so they want to know that you've done well with your academic results. And I know from myself as well, when I've been on assessment panels, we're looking at the whole you. We've even had competencies in there called interpersonal savvy, oral and written communication skills. We want to see all these things. We want to see how you work in a team. And that's why they have the assessment centres, so that they can actually see you in a team environment and analyse it. Because they say that behaviour breeds behaviour, or they like to look at past behaviour to predict what your future behaviour is actually going to be like. So that's why they're doing those things. So the whole you means any work experience that you've had, any voluntary work that you've been involved in, okay? Any teams that you've worked in. I did an application before I started working at the university, I did a complete graduate application for a person that I knew that was applying in the New South Wales health system for a grad role. She had a double major, so she had commerce and health science or something like that. Anyway, what we did, she was in soccer teams. She didn't manage a soccer team, but there was a conflict in a soccer team that she helped to resolve. Okay, so she actually went, okay, well, I'm going to talk to the coach about that and I'm going to resolve it, and everything ended up really well, ended up nice at the end. So she was able to use those experiences in her application. So when we talked about teamwork, she put in about that example of being part of a team, a soccer team, and being able to resolve a problem. So they want to know that you've actually had experiences like that.
Whereabouts in your application do you put your anecdotes?
Your anecdotes?
Yeah,
like that one, in the selection criteria.
Whereabouts? So for example, I applied for DCAT, which is due on Monday.
Yep.
The first one is like education and
Yep.
scholarships, work experience.
Yep.
And then it's like interests. Do you put it in your interests?
Yeah, you could put it in your interests. Does it ask you for selection in the selection criteria section or capabilities at all in their application?
Not quite sure.
Have a look. Have you? Yeah, print it out. Have a look. Because if it's a federal department, Commonwealth department, isn't it? Yeah, it will definitely have selection criteria in some form or another, and it will have one on teamwork. However they word it. And in that teamwork, that's where you can put some of those anecdotes, and I'll show you how to do that. Yep. Okay, so I'm talking about the whole you. Okay, so look at the outcomes from the graduate. This is actual statistics I'm going to give you next, which employers were asked to nominate which 3 selection criteria over a whole ream of selection criteria, aside from your qualifications, they considered to be most important when evaluating applicants, okay? And this goes from most to least. And you can see up here all those things I just spoke about, okay? Interpersonal and communication skills, passion, knowledge of the industry, drive, commitment, your values. Are they aligned with that particular company? Calibre of academic results, critical reasoning. You can see up here that those things, those criteria actually make up the whole of you, and that's what they're interested in seeing. Okay, so your question about where that would sit, the anecdotes, if you're looking, it would probably be under teamwork skills or, yeah. One there that I really am pleased to see up there is emotional intelligence. Okay, so self-awareness of when you actually go into a corporate environment. So they're looking to see that you have strength of character, confidence, but you're also aware of people that are around you in the workplace and the effects that your behaviour has on people around you. Okay, so once again, informed decision. There's some sites there for you as well where to find out more. And I guess I can't emphasise the 3 R's, research, research, research for your informed decision. Too many times have I seen people that have fallen into a role straight after uni and it hasn't been right for them. And they've stayed there, and they've stayed there, and they've stayed there until finally they've either been pushed out or they've finally come to the realisation that they need to get something that they have a passion for. And then I see those same people I've coached them through actually find a role that they really are passionate about, and the whole difference to that person is just amazing. You just see them thrive. You see them like, why didn't the lights go on a couple of years ago? Because this is what I should have been doing with myself. Okay? All right. Good way to research is the careers fair on Tuesday. So have a really good look at the companies that are going. Do what I said about researching the company and seeing, what the future growth is, what the possibilities are for working with that organisation, and go and ask them some intelligent questions. You've got over 40 companies here. Instead of you having to get onto LinkedIn and find people that you might know that maybe can put you in touch with someone at that organisation, you've actually got them on your doorstep. So great opportunity to get down there and talk to them. Okay, so your applications. Online application, I've said, cover letter, tailored resume, selection criteria is where you put your anecdotes in, and transcripts from SOLs. Okay? Online applications, I can't stress enough, proofread. So usernames, passwords, try and print it out if you can. How did you go with the default one? Did it allow you to print it out? Because sometimes they don't. Yeah. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll just get you to do it all in one hit.
Unless you can save it.
Yeah, save it and then maybe print it out. Yeah, but you really want to check it thoroughly to make sure you've got everything covered. Okay, so yeah, print and save the copy and the completed form. All right, proofread, get someone else to read it for you. Get someone else to go over it for you to make sure that you've covered everything. And especially if they're quite close to you, because they might say, hey, you completely forgot about teamwork there, or you completely forgot about that time that you solved a problem. Okay? Cover letters, cover emails, I'll pass these around. I've got some sample ones here. Yeah, just take one of those each. That's a sample cover letter. They're also on the edge as well, online. I've got that one from there. So only one page. All right, I remember a guy coming to me with a cover letter once, and I said to him, have you written a thesis? Because it was something like, his whole cover letter and resume was 17 pages. And you know what the worst part was? This was a guy that was an engineer that had held some really high positions. And I said, you haven't sent this out, have you? And he's gone, yeah, I've sent it out to, this many organisations. So I said to him, right, sit down. We need to do a gap analysis. We need to find out who you haven't sent it to. And I said, stop sending it out and we're going to redo it. And we actually got his CV and cover letter down to 5 pages. Okay, so you need to be mindful that it's only one page. And you need to think why you're writing it. Yep. Yeah, you're just cutting and pasting it, aren't you? Yeah. I would do, in that instance, I do the cover letter in that box because that's what they've asked you to do, and quite often, if you don't do that, it'll get missed out. And I do a covering email with it to follow up on it, say, hope you received it, looking forward to...
But if it's like a government department, they won't give you a contact.
Yeah, in that instance, you're just going to do the box.
But like,
yeah.
Still do the
Yeah, I would. Yeah, do it properly so that they actually see it like that. Yeah. So it's about why you are the right person for the position and company. You need... I'll move forward. Okay, I've put this in here for you because it shows you what these paragraphs should look like. Okay, so you've got 5 paragraphs in it. You've got the first one, which is your purpose. The first paragraph has to have a bit of a win in it. Has to grab their attention. Right, who you are, what you've been studying, and why you actually want to apply for their graduate application process. The second one has to be why you want to be part of the graduate program with their company. This is where your research comes in. Okay, this is where your informed decision making comes in. You look at it and you go, great, okay, I want to be part of your company because you have a reputation for X, Y, Z, or you're moving forward into areas of growth that I would want to be in. Third one is your specialist skills relevant to the job. Okay, so what have you got that's actually going to attract them? Okay, and the fourth one is general skills, maybe about your voluntary work, maybe about teams that you've been involved in, and then the last one is your close. All right, so it's saying really happy to be applying, look forward to hearing from you, and contact details again, and any resume and documents that you've actually attached. So your resume, that's your marketing tool, and that needs to be pretty short and sharp. For you guys, I'd say 2 pages. Okay, and I've also got a sample resume there as well for you. So if we just pass those around. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Are you happy just to ask as we go? That's all in there for you, clear and consistent. Once again, the best piece of advice I can give you for your resume is send it through to us at Careers Central, and then we'll farm it out to the right faculty and we'll check it for you. All right, so go to the resume workshop, send it in, we check it, and we send it back to you. And same with selection criteria. So there's all different sections for your graduate resume. So look at career objective, contact details, that's all in there. I'm not going to read it out to you. So they're just all the sections that you need to be covering. And they're optional sections. For me, the optional sections, if you haven't had a lot of work experience, I would be including a lot of those optional sections, just so that you're standing out in the crowd. I had a case where somebody I was working with, they were applying for a role. There was a lot of selection criteria. They got down to the final interviews. Basically, the difference between one candidate and the other was the voluntary experience. Okay, so because the other candidate didn't put it in, the other candidate went through because it showed interpersonal skills and communication and teamwork. Okay.
Whereabouts did you put your career objective?
At the top. Yeah, so I put it not right at the top. You see we've got the personal details, and underneath that should be a skills summary, is it? Yeah. So you can put it above the skills summary, or you can combine the two. Yeah. Okay. Please, please, please. I mentioned about someone saying to me the other day they're going to send out 100. Can you tailor 100? No. They're just going to churn and burn. All right? What you need to think about is you need to tailor each one. So you probably have a set one, but you need to change it to the company and the graduate program that you're actually applying for. Okay, so please try and do that. The gentleman I was talking about before that had the 17-pager that nearly put me into cardiac arrest, okay, he churned and burned. He sent out so many, just didn't even look properly at what they were looking for, okay, and in doing that, didn't get anything. But as soon as he tailored his resume to that particular company and organisation, lo and behold, what do you think happened? He got jobs, he got interviews, he got through the door. Okay, so that's really, really important. Okay, so just review your resume. Second set of eyes is invaluable. You know we can do it at Careers, so that's the address to send it through to when you want to review it. Refer to the Edge on the careers site for more templates and more examples and more cover letters. Okay, selection criteria. This is where the anecdotes come in, okay, of what you've actually done. So they're a separate document, they're not part of your resume or your cover letter, okay, and they should be addressed that way. Selection criteria, your name on each page, just in case something gets lost in the system. They are rated, so you need to address each criteria separately. It's usually 1 to 2 paragraphs for each criteria, although sometimes they give you a word count. So they'll give you a word count of maybe 250 or 500 words for each one, so that you don't write a book on it. You need to draw from your work experience, your study, your university, any community activity you've been involved in. This is where I'm saying about the sports even. I said we put that application. By the way, she got 2 jobs. The girl that I helped with her application, she was offered 2 jobs, and there were 2 jobs that she'd researched and she really, really wanted. And so she was then able to make an informed choice about which graduate program she wanted to go on. Okay? So she used evidence, she backed up her claims, and like I said, name and contact details on each footer or header on the page. Skills-based. One of my pet hates with resumes and selection criteria is when people just say, I'm a good team player. I'm a good communicator. I can resolve problems. So what does that tell me? Nothing. It's just a cliche. Okay, so what we like to see is where you can put, I'm a good team player, and this is demonstrated through the reasons why you consider yourself a good team player. I'm effective organisational and time management skills due to doing a double major and bringing up a family at the same time. So respond to selection criteria, demonstrate using a specific example of a time. Now I'm going to move forward. On the Edge, there's a really good example there for that. This is the technique that should stay with you for life. Okay? So with your anecdotes, you should be tailoring it around either technique, CARL or STAR. CARL is context, which is the background. Action, which is action steps that you actually took. The response or the result that you actually got. And the learning from it. So you can actually put that in your selection criteria. So I said 1 to 2 examples. If you do it around this, you're on a winner with that, let me assure you. I've dealt with executives that didn't even know about this technique. As soon as they found out about it, they were able to, they said, oh my God, this is fantastic. I can just put these in here like this, my achievements, situation, task, action, result. And then what are you doing at the same time? You're preparing for your interview at the very same time, because you're writing these out in that format. You're going, okay, well when they turn around and ask me, can you give me an example of your good time management skills? You can then turn around and say, sure. You've got a Carl there to articulate to them. So it works really, really well. You can use a skills matrix, so you can make sure that you've ticked off all the boxes for your skills. So, for example, I like this because you can put down teamwork, and then down the side you can put down where you've used that teamwork, and then think of your examples of it. Potential problems with selection criteria is ambiguous statements, false statements. Sometimes statements may not be relevant to the company or the program that you're actually going for. Really important that you have relevant information. The other thing is you state what others have done, what a group did, not you did. So you are allowed to use the I in selection criteria. Okay, quite often we fall down. We talk about, oh yeah, when I was in that team, the team did this, or the team did that. It's actually, they want to know what you did within that team to reach that goal. And that's an important area for your selection criteria. Okay. So does everyone know how to download the transcript from Souls? Yep, that's good. Know the contact details for at least 3 referees. So if your referees are overseas, start to get back in touch with them. I've had that. I've had candidates clients I've worked with that referees have been overseas and they've gone on LinkedIn and they've found them and they've sent them an email on LinkedIn and said, hi, do you remember me? I'm applying for a job and I just wanted to get back in touch with you. Do you have some contact details for me? So then gets on the phone, contacts, reforms that relationship again, and then also is able to use that person as a referee. They're a funky organisation. You're tempted to say, hey guys, I'd love to apply for your grad program. Don't. Always keep it that step above. Always keep it to a formal level, all your correspondence and communications. Okay? Right, your image. This is important. Do you know how many employers go on Facebook? Potential employers are trawling Facebook, looking for you to see what your extracurricular activities are. So I would be clearing up my Facebook a little bit and making sure that it was, lock down your Facebook. Do whatever you can do. But just make sure that it's not really, there's nothing about you bungee jumping without a rope off a cliff, or doing something that maybe might put a potential employer off, okay? Your friends love it. They love to see you at that party on the Saturday night at 4 o'clock in the morning, but the next employer may not quite be thinking that that's in their company culture and values, okay? Establish a professional LinkedIn account as well, profile. Look, I can't tell you how valuable that tool is. It is absolutely amazing. In fact, Career Central will probably be working on a mini workshop on it. It is a tool that is it's just a networking guru tool. It's just fantastic. Get a nice profile up there. This is a corporate site, okay? So get a profile that will be noticed. Get a nice corporate photo of yourself on there. All the key things that you've done need to go in here. I sort of treat it as though it should go hand in hand with your resume. I worked in a company in Sydney, a couple of companies in Sydney where recruitment consultants that recruit for 150k and above roles, they said they spent a minimum of an hour a day on LinkedIn. And that's to actually find people, to recruit people. There's jobs on there. In fact, over 40% of graduate program jobs are advertised on LinkedIn. Right, so it's really important that you've got a profile on there. It's just your digital presence, really. Now, this is an area. My discussions, like I said to you at the beginning of today, my discussions with recruitment grad managers is that graduates are falling over in this area, okay? And funny enough, she said in particular women, for some reason, they're not coping with it and they're really dropping down, which I thought, wow, that's amazing. Okay, so what I want you to do, on the back of that page, like this is telling you and explaining to you what all those tests are, I believe you should be going onto those sites and practicing. Practice, 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 all the free ones to get your head around the type of questions they're actually going to be asking you. The way the questions are worded, you know, for numerical reasoning and verbal reasoning tests, how are they worded? What's the response going to be? How should that look? So that you're actually getting a really good picture of how psychometric tests are going to, what they're going to be like before doing one. Hands up who's done one. Anyone done a psychometric? Yeah. I'm actually psychometric qualified to run them, so I know what they're about and how hard they can be. So please practice. It decreases your anxiety. The other thing, a big thing that's happening now is they get you to do, sometimes they can get you to do the psychometric online. Now, please don't have the kids running around your feet, the kitten running around, the dog running around, the budgie out, whatever it is. Don't have anything like that going on. Find a place where you can get your mindset right to actually undertake the test, okay? But please practice, practice, practice. I've given you the list of the common ones there. Personality tests, they tend to look at leadership qualities, your interests, team orientation, motivation. A lot of self-awareness comes through. How am I going? Okay. Okay. Then, of course, you're going to have the telephone contact. Right? So they're going to contact you about... Actually, a telephone contact can be tricky because what they'll do, they're being a bit tricky here, they'll probably do a mini interview on you. Hi, how are you? This is where you've got to be really... Yes, hi, how are you? I'm good. You know, have a good conversation with them professionally. Okay, they'll ask you, why are you interested in our company? Or why are you interested in working for DEFA? Great, they may not in the government. Government, you usually say, hi, you've got a assessment, we're inviting you to an assessment centre, such and such a date, do you have any questions? And I guess what you're going to say is, do I need to bring anything with me? Because I remember going for a government role once and I had to bring everything, even my degree, I had to take it off the wall in the frame and bring it along to show I physically had that. Yeah. Okay, now this is really important. Ensure you have a professional voicemail service on your phone. From a recruiter perspective, I know it costs extra money, but from the recruitment side, if I rang up someone, I hate, your message will be converted in 5 seconds or whatever it is to words, and it never comes out right. You get a blurb when you get the message. People will get turned off and they'll just hang up on you. And you don't want to miss those opportunities, so make sure you get a voicemail on. Yep. So telephone interviews, prepare as you would a normal interview. Actually, more and more people are doing telephone interviews and Skyping. Okay, so Skype's big now. So I know I helped someone the other day with a telephone interview preparation because they were going for a role in the Pilbara over in Western Australia. So basically as a favour, I sat down with them and went through that STAR technique and CARL technique and got all their examples all set out so that they were ready. And the feedback to me afterwards was, oh my goodness, thank you so much for that, because that's exactly what they asked me. Okay, so over the telephone interviews can be more difficult because you don't have that smile on your face, you don't have that engagement that you need. So my advice to you with telephone interviews is to practice. You know, all these iPhones, iPads, you can talk into them and record back. Don't be afraid to do that. Talk into it, record back, see how your voice sounds. Yep, practice, practice, practice. Okay. So we run workshops on assessment centres downstairs at Careers Central. My advice would be to go to it and they'll break it down really well for you. I've given you a breakdown today and told you about my experiences with them. Okay, but for you, as Sean said, he's been on a couple, haven't you? Has anyone else been on an assessment centre? Sean, how did that feel for you?
Oh, it's pretty daunting.
Pretty daunting, yeah. Yeah, they're pretty daunting. They're not, you know, I call them deselection assessment centres. They tend to deselect people rather than select. Okay, interviews, we run interview workshops. We can do mock interviews for you. Please, 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 after you've applied and you've got that phone call, please come and see us and we'll help you as much as we can. It's in our best interest for you to do well. We really want you to do well. Okay, any questions, guys? Yes?
Okay, I know you said that obviously don't apply for applications and stuff, but if you've got a few going,
Yep.
do you have to call your referee every single time, or do you give them a general I'm applying for grad program?
General. Yeah, definitely general. You know what I would do in that instance? Just say you apply for 20, okay? I don't know how many you're going to apply for. If you apply for 20, out of that 20, I would break them up and I'd go, here's my top 5. This is the one I really want. Or here's my top 2. These are the 2 I really, really want. Work really hard at that application and selection criteria. Tell your referee, I've applied for a number of programs in these sectors, but these are the ones I really want, top 5. Do you need any more information on it? Do you want me to send you through my selection criteria? You know, so put it back to them. Yep. Any other questions at all?